Eleanor and the Dragon, Part 1 of 2, by Aldred Chase. The noble king of the ancient city, great in his wrath, but merciful in pity, paced his chamber in a dreadful rage, at Eleanor, 16 years of age, his daughter and his only child. Her stubborn nature drove him wild. His words were just, his thoughts were wise. She simply stood and rolled her eyes. The king wished that his queen was here, but she'd been dead more than a year. She'd had a knack that let her find the ways to change their daughter's mind. Once more he held his anger back, to keep their little talk on track. He hoped his words might yet persuade, but failing that, he'd be obeyed. He said, "I'm growing old and frail, and all too soon my strength will fail. I wish before I pass away to celebrate your wedding day. A splendid prince must take your hand and help you rule this fertile land. But when it comes to sweet romance, you won't give any prince a chance. Instead of being gay and charming, you're reading books on soil and farming, or geography, or astronomy, or something called an economy. As for chemistry, I've no desire to hear you've set your room on fire. The last 3 times were quite enough. You really must give up this stuff." Eleanor let her father vent, then spoke at last when he was spent. Knowledge, when it's understood, becomes a force for doing good. The way to double harvest yields is irrigation of our fields, and mapping of the stars will aid our navigation and our trade. I've also learned the art of war, a topic leaders can't ignore. These ancient scrolls seek to explain that brawn is best when used with brain. The victories achieved are stunning when using strategy and cunning, like creeping up on foes asleep, with warriors disguised as sheep. "Enough, enough!" her father cried. "Such trickery allows no pride. Stop at once your foolish prattle. Women have no place in battle." At this Eleanor's face turned red, and with an icy calm she said, "My sword arm is not strong, I know, but I'm a master with the bow." Their argument would have gone on and on and on and on, but before they could say more, a servant hammered on the door. He burst in trembling head to toe, and blurted out his tale of woe. "My noble king, I do not lie, an evil dragon fills the sky. The time has come to save the day, and bravely hide or run away." The noble king straightened his back, and said, "I'll not flee this attack. A dragon, when it has the choice, is fond of hearing its own voice. I think it may not be too late to talk and to negotiate. I'll meet him on the castle wall, and find out why he's come to call." Eleanor watched him go with pride, then followed to be at his side. The dragon cruised the air, afloat, as though it were a stately boat. Its scales were green, its eyes were red, they glittered in its wedge-shaped head. Around the city walls it flew, the guards did not know what to do. Their arrows bounced off scaly skin, which made the wicked dragon grin. It used its tail to strike the wall, the blow made guards and turrets fall. A flash of movement caught its eye. It turned its head to find out why. High on the hill a castle stood, with flying banners red as blood, and people waved and trumpets blew. The dragon blinked. Could this be true? To welcome dragons was insane. They'd not make that mistake again. It moved as swiftly as a dart to reach the castle's stone rampart. It hovered there while gazing down on some old fool who wore a crown, and by his side a slender girl, no doubt this father's well-loved pearl. The dragon licked its scaly lips, and drooled saliva in great drips. The girl would have exquisite taste, all juicy meat, no fat or waste. The old man spoke without a quaver. "Please, noble dragon, grant this favour. The risks in fighting are too great. Permit us to negotiate. Please take your pick, at your leisure, from our splendid hoard of treasure." The dragon spoke with smoky breath. "You can't negotiate with death. I'm here to satisfy a need. I have a hunger I must feed. Now I admit that in my youth I was a glutton, that's the truth, and when I visited a city I ate my fill and felt no pity. My feast began down by the river, a starter of fat merchant's liver. I'd eat at least a dozen then, I'd eat the fish and fishermen. My main course was folk from the town, and those I caught I'd guzzle down. A dessert made the meal complete, my choice was toasted kiddies' feet. But now, alas, I've reached a stage, my stomach has grown weak with age, and as I chat and hover here, I weep a brief nostalgic tear for all the meals that I've enjoyed, and all the towns that I've destroyed. These days I think what goes down best is something easy to digest. I diet now, and what I eat are morsels tender, small, and sweet. Your daughter looks so proud and fine, I think on her I'll choose to dine. You'll send her to the cave of woe? Please check the map before you go. On foot the journey takes 3 days, and I won't tolerate delays. I can't express the joy I feel, anticipating my next meal. Of course, if she should not arrive, please don't expect that you'll survive. Such foolish kings have often found their cities burned down to the ground. The dragon soared into the air, and then departed for its lair. The king with fury smote his chest, and said, "Such dragons I detest, for truly I would sooner die than with this vile request comply. I'm sure that we are all agreed, my daughter is not dragon-feed. How dare this lizard mock our rights? Sound the trumpet, call my knights to hasten to me, then we'll plan to show this beast the might of man." In his map room the king addressed a dozen knights he liked the best. "You noble men will bravely go on horseback to the cave of woe. Your leader will be Sir Gawain, a man whose honour has no stain. His mighty sword and mighty beard are things that make him justly feared. The men who take the dragon down earn honour, glory, and renown, and I'll reward with gold and land the bold survivors of this band. And in addition, you should know, the knight who strikes the final blow, that kills the dragon and damps its fire, will wed my daughter, if they desire." The noble knights all clapped and cheered, led by Gawain with his mighty beard. They jumped upon their splendid steeds, and sallied forth to do great deeds. They did not rest or hesitate, but cantered out the city gate, then slowed their horses to a walk. It gave the knights a chance to talk. Sir Gawain, who rode at their head, spoke first, and this is what he said. "It's going to be quite hard to know which one of us struck the fatal blow to win the fair Eleanor's hand, but I've a plan, my merry band. I think it would be manly fun to charge the dragon one by one." His noble fellows all agreed this was a splendid plan indeed. It never crossed Sir Gawaine's mind that someone followed close behind. At walking pace across the ground there crept a mottled grey-green mound. This patch of land that moved a lot was from a distance hard to spot. Eleanor had crept out alone to face the dragon on her own. Her special cloak was dyed and tanned, so that it blended with the land. She had her pack, she had her bow, she had a map to the Cave of Woe. She knew the weakness of the knights was how these men approached their fights. Cunning dragons do not care for honour, virtue, fighting fair. These sneaky beasts have often planned to win by tactics underhand. The knights were no match for their foe that waited in the Cave of Woe. Will Eleanor defeat the wicked dragon? Find out in part 2.